Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League Tier 1 in partnership with gridfinder.com. This is the top tier of the equal performance leagues here at Invictus, so the fastest drivers tonight. And we are here for round number 13 at the Australian Grand Prix, Albert Park. And alongside me in the commentary box this week is Sab. Sab, how are you today?
I'm really good, thank you. I'm glad to be back here tonight, watching these guys do what they do best, and hopefully we get some good racing. I was just checking out some of the standings, and hopefully, especially around somewhere like Australia, we could get a real tasty race tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the previous couple of races this week, the Tier 3, Tier 2, we've seen safety cars in both, and a very mixtured strategy set from everyone courtesy of that. The big question is, are we going to see a similar thing tonight? Because those strategy differences are quite interesting to watch.
They certainly are. Myself, I tried to go the hard tyre on Monday night, and unfortunately that kind of backfired on me with an early tag and early on in the race, and it kind of ruins your race then, doesn't it, if you gamble on that hard tyre. But luckily a safety car ended up bringing me back into that. So as you say, safety cars, I think probably we'll see maybe one or two tonight, because Australia can be one of those tracks. I don't know about yourself, but I always think, for me, it feels like it's going to bite you at some point if you're not giving it its full attention.
Yeah, I tend to find it's one of those circuits that's very slippy regardless of what tyre you're on. It's very easy to break traction on the car and and spin in a few of the corners, most notably the last corner, and that of turn 6 and 7, most notably.
Yeah, the last corner. Yeah, I can totally agree with that one. As we've just headed into the pit lane now, and as you can see, no rain in qualifying. It seems whether we get some rain down under in the race, we shall soon find out. 14 drivers ready to go for that pole position. And who are you thinking? Who are you fancying? You've watched these guys all season. You've commentated on them. Who are you thinking around Australia could grab pole tonight?
I mean, I think the most obvious person would be Nick Jewston. He's been on form pretty much since he got here. All those rounds ago, I think he joined about round number 5, and since then he's been at the top all the time. But he has been challenged by the likes of Cameron, Searle, and Merck for those top spots. So I think you're looking at any one of those three there. I think so. You look at Nick, Merck, and Cameron. Ghost, I think, has an outside possibility, but I think this season he's not necessarily accepted that he's slow, but I don't think he quite has the same confidence as last season.
Yeah, it's for me, after seeing his incredible season he had, for him to not have scored a win so far this season, for me is a real surprise. But it just shows the level of competition we've got in this league, and the likes of Nick Jewston, who is running it away with at the moment at the top, just need that little bit extra. As we start to see cars coming out onto the pit lane now, is there anybody you're going to be keeping an eye on for the first run?
Well, I think Nick Jewston's at the head of the field now after being let through by ARL, so I think we'll go on board with him for a lap of the 5.278 kilometre Albert Park Street Circuit. And big thing here for the drivers are those yellow lines on the outskirts. Normally they're white, but obviously being a street circuit, they have to differentiate from the actual road markings. But here we go, out of the final corner. DRS on down towards turn 1, 2. Now, turn 1 and 2, you want to carry the speed through one, but not run wide, because if you run wide, you're on the AstroTurf, and then it becomes a little bit slippy there. Lovely done through there from Nick Jewston, nice and smooth. Second DRS zone down to turn 3. You're going to be braking around about that light board. And down to 4th, because these guys no traction control. Turn 4, just a little transition. 5 should be flat in qualifying. Yes, it is for Nick Jewston. Up towards 6 and 7. This has been widened to try and make it easier, but in fact it's just a lot slippier by the seams on this game. Turn 8 absolutely pinned to the boards now. This used to be go out to that 90-degree right. Cameron has crashed after turn 4. We'll come back to that in a minute. But down towards the 9-10 chicane, this very fast. Clip the left curb. clip some of the right curb, use a touch of curb on the exit, but not too much because it will spin you into the inside wall, as many a driver has done. We've got traffic up ahead as we head into turn 11. Hopefully the Red Bull, I think that's Ennis, will either relinquish the space or just get on with it. 12, and the Red Bull's right in the way. That was turn 13, 14, and yeah, that's not ideal for Nick. That lap's ruined. I'm surprised Ennis didn't bother letting the Alfa Romeo through there, but that 1:18.6 definitely not the pole time that we're going to see tonight.
I believe that was the other Red Bull, because Ennis was just... Yeah, he was just slightly behind. And what happened to Cameron, I was riding on board with him, and he ran slightly wide through that tricky left-right section of the turns 4 and 5, and the car just went left straight into the wall, front left wheel come off the car. That is qualifying over for Cameron. Not ideal at all. If he's wanting to fight for this championship, he's going to have to do it from the back of the field tonight. So disaster for Cameron in that AlphaTauri. Can any of the other guys up the field take advantage of him being out of this session now? Ennis in first place, ARL in third, with Ricky Maru in fourth, as Reschke in third place there in the McLaren with a 1:18.6.
Yeah, I think Ghost just had a bit of a spin or a moment out of the turn 9-10 chicane on his first attempt, so he'll probably be going back to the pits. Luke Bailey will come across the line now. He sets a 1:18.1 to go provisionally top of the table. Jasper through in fifth place. We know how quick Jasper can be, so keep an eye out on him. You got Speed Queen on a lap, Mercked on a lap. Mercked on medium tyres here, so a bit of an interesting strategy, but he puts in a 1:18.9. I think Speed Queen the only one else on a lap here.
Yeah.
As she comes up to turn 9 and 10.
Yeah, just keeping an eye on Speed Queen, veteran of IRL. She's always good to watch, racing whatever track. She's just coming into that final sector now for her first run. Doesn't want to go too deep into that corner. Nice and neat from Speed Queen there. Just a couple more corners now. I always find these corners can be particularly tricky, and you can also invalidate around here, but she's proving it to be looking quite easy. Final corner navigated nicely down the start, finish straight, set her first time of the evening, coming across the line into second place there with a 1:18.2, just a fraction off Luke Bailey in first. Nice lap, nice opening lap from Speed Queen.
Yes, Ryan just coming across the line. Ryan, a tier 2 driver. I believe he will not be counting towards positions and points as Martin will be the same as well. So those two, effectively, if any of the tier 1 guys finish behind those two, they do actually get moved up a place if they're behind them. I think Cameron's front wheel is still in the middle of the circuit, but probably not on any of the driver screens, which is good. Interesting thing though, Sap, is that the pole position time from last season, as I do have that data, was set by Ghost in the Alpine with a 1:17.4. So right. We're still a little ways off that at the moment. Luke Bailey a 1:18.1, and obviously Ghost hasn't set a time. Nick Justin got somewhat bulked up. So
yeah, Ghost will be hoping to at least match that this evening. He's gone back out after his excursions on the first run. He's just warming his next set of soft tyres up, coming through the second sector into the third sector, about to have another attack at it. And Ghost, you say he's been a little bit off pace this season. If he can replicate that time of last season, then he should well and truly be on for pole position. He'll be hoping he can do that as he just navigates a car there on the right side, no problem, and he'll be on for his second run.
I think that looks like MDJ, the other AlphaTauri that's out and about. Don't know whether he was setting up a lap or was on a lap then, but ARL, he's just coming round to the final corner. He's going to go in the pits. He's on medium tyres, so maybe just doing a bit of practice. Ricky Maru is setting up a lap. Who else do we have? We've got Nick Justin, who I think this is a flying lap then for the Alfa Romeo. Through sector 1 we go. And he's 0.03 up so far. So I think we're going to see a lot of his time come through Sector 3.
Interesting. Ghost navigating Sector 1 nicely. Obviously, he hasn't got a time to compare to. We're not setting a time. So, what can Ghost do here? I want to hope he can not invalidate or get these final 2 sectors wrong. But it's all looking nice and neat for Ghost. Oh, this second sector, left, right. It's really fast left, right. And he's invalidated. Ran wide. Ghost has invalidated on this run as well. It's easy to run wide there, and he has still yet set a time. He's going to probably come into the pits.
Okay, well, Nick Houston just coming round the final corner. This time, no cars in front of him. And it's a 1:16.906. Was that four tenths, half a second quicker than Ghost's pole time from last season. As MDJ puts it 4th on the grid at the moment. And looks like Martin just coming across the line. I don't know if that's to start a lap or finish a lap. I'm going to say he's starting a lap because he's using ERS at the moment.
That is very impressive. So my prediction of Ghost potentially getting pole position if he could match his last season time has certainly been thrown out the window. That incredible from Nick. Really has set the marker for this evening. And to be honest, the way it's looking, he could probably come into the pits now and put his feet up, because that is going to take some beating from the rest of the guys tonight here. So what will Nick do? Will he come in and just park it and say, beat that, guys? Or is he potentially going to come out for another run and see if he can beat it even more than what he has? Ghost did pit, by the way, so still no time. The only person now not to set a time this evening, so they'll be hoping his final run to at least get that McLaren into the top 10 with his teammate Reschke.
Yeah, we got people being a bit slow. I'm wondering, did you pick up what time Ghost was on after the second sector at all?
I didn't notice. Sorry, no. I noticed the first sector. It was like 26.9, I think it was. But I didn't notice the second sector because as he invalidated, he let off the gas, and then I kind of flicked off to somebody else. But Reschke, can he improve? He's going to come across the line now. This is his second run. Is he going to improve? He does. Look at that. 18.0 puts him into second place, but just shows you how impressive that time is from Nick. He's still, Reschke's just been moved down by Malc. Malc into second place with 17.4, so getting closer to Nick.
Yeah, and I think Nick will feel that he's got no choice but to go again, because I think Malc and Ghost, I think they do possess the speed here to potentially challenge that 16.9. I mean, Tier 1 is normally very close at the top, so I don't think Nick's going to be exactly comfortable there at the moment. But Ghost will have to pull one out of the bag here right near the end. He's gone out now. I wonder if that's just in case he needs to come back in the pits again and get back out, because it is only like about a minute, probably a minute and a half for an out lap. Obviously, you can semi-push on your in lap should you need to come in. As ARL just getting out of people's way at turn 12. Ricky Maru coming up to the line.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on Luke Bailey in 4th place. Coming around the last few corners now, can he get up there with Malc to set a good first banker lap of the evening, provisionally put in pole? Where is he going to put him? He improves, but not enough to move him up the field. He improves by 0.006 of a second. Meanwhile, Speed Queen looks like she is going much quicker than her previous time. Where is this going to put Speed Queen into 3rd place? She went half a second quicker than her previous time with a 17.7.
Yeah, so 3 people under the 1 minute 18s, 1 person under the 1 minute 17s. Who else have we got coming up? We got Ryan, who's about half a second quicker than he was on his previous attempt. He's going to come to the line in the Aston Martin. And it's a 1:17.9, so he goes up into 4th place. And he's not even really kind of fighting these Tier 1 boys, because he's a Tier 2 driver. Jasper just going on to a lap. I think that might be Ghost coming round. What does he set on this, the first attempt? It's a 1:17.4, so it puts him up into third place, which is good. The question is he going to be able to get around, get refueled and go again potentially? Although it might end up being on a used set of softs.
Yeah, I can imagine he'd be quite relieved to have got that time in. It's took him a bit of time to get that time in, but he's eventually got himself there up on the second row. I think he'll be pleased just to get a time in, and if he doesn't improve, then I'm sure he'll be pleased to have an opportunity to fight near the front. Going to be tough though if he can stay there. Speed Queen looks fast tonight, and if she can find a few more tenths, then she might dislodge Ghost. That third place. Ryan looking good as well. What have you spotted?
Jasper just got very twitchy out of turn 11 on his current flying lap. It's definitely going to cost him a little bit of momentum coming out of there as he comes round the final corner. Up to the line, and it's a 1:17.837. Wow. So fifth place. He did have a twitch, so if he goes again, I think there's more time to be had out of that Haas.
Wow, that's a decent time then. If he had a moment and still slotted it in fifth place, and that was his second lap on those soft tyres as well. So interesting. He must have had a couple of bankers and then gone for it. So Jasper, decent lap there for the Haas driver into fifth place. Everybody pretty much in the pits now. What was just over three minutes left. Is Nick going to hang on to first, do you think?
I think currently he's got a good chance of doing so, but I do think he will be coming back out for a third run just to try and almost make sure of it, because as we know in qualifying, it only takes one lap to dislodge someone. Ricky Maru on his out lap, he'll be the first person to go on his last line lap, unless Jasper is saving up ERS, which he isn't. I think Jasper's going to be in the pits, and it'll possibly be too much time with all the animations to get him back out. Oh, and he's spun as well.
just as I went on to him, I saw the Haas going sideways. Luckily, he did it just before the pit entry, so he can slot himself back in. But none of the front guys yet have twitched. 2.5 minutes left. None of the front guys have twitched yet. A couple of guys out there, MDJ and Ricky Maru are out there. But yeah, none of the front guys yet have twitched, as we see some cars starting to filter out now. And I think one is Nick.
Yeah, they all want to be the last man across, have as much rubber on the track as they can, because it is a slippy circuit. Ricky Maru will be the first, though, to start the final set of laps here in Australia. The Haas driver, currently down in 11th, and we know he's a bit quicker than that, is Ricky. He just needs to get a lap put together here in the Haas. Through turn 5 he goes. Just runs just about within track limits through 5. Through 6 and 7, using as much as he can, trying to just keep the momentum. It's the most crucial thing about Australia, keeping that momentum, keeping the speed up, because there's not a lot of places now where it's slow with braking zones.
No, it's a very fast track now. They've added that whole new section in Sector 2. All the guys are out on their outlaps now. They're all kind of within the same bit of the track as each other, so they're going to have to give each other some space eventually. You see, I think that's Merck. Yeah, Merck doing exactly what I was just saying there. Slow down, let some cars go past him, create a gap. You can see that there's no cars behind him now, so Merckx will be looking to use that advantage, but he does have a slow running car ahead of him, so he's going to have to try and build that gap again. These guys have all gone out at exactly the same time, similar to what you see in real F1.
Yeah, Ricky Maru goes 6th with 1:17.9. MDJ goes 4th with a 1:17.7. Nick Justin now going on to a lap. I think that's also Ennis who's going on to. I think everyone now just going on to laps, if I'm not mistaken. So Nick Justin will be the next one, I believe. I think Reshka might be the next person to be on a lap as he's rounding through Sector 2 as we speak.
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on Merckx, the Red Bull driver. He's coming around the final corner now to start his final flying
I
lap. It'll
have
be
a
interesting.
feeling Nick spun it after turn 4.
Really?
And on the approach to 5, I just saw a red dot, and I'm pretty certain he was the first of the red dots on the map. So I think Nick Jewston has spun on his final attempt, whilst Reshka now just coming through sector 3. So Nick Jewston will not improve. And Reshka coming through the final corner. What can he do? He's 9th at the moment. He's been a very solid point-scoring driver for McLaren this season, helping them keep in that Constructors' fight. It's 7th with a 117.8. And this is very close. Just over a second covering the top 9 at the moment. Meanwhile, further behind, it's Iaro Ennis is the next man to take to the checkered flag in the Red Bull.
Merckx is not going to top Nick Newson's time. He was 4.5 tenths down in the first sector. He's not going to improve here, so Merckx at best will be second. The Speed Queen goes third.
Yeah, very impressive that from Speed Queen. Ghost is in the pit, so he's not going to improve. Yeah, I think Nick Jewston now in the pits as well. Who's next to cross the line? It's going to be Luke Bailey in the Williams. He's going to cross the line. He's going to go 7th with a 117.8. Merckx will be the next man. He doesn't go any quicker. Who we got next? Jasper across the line. Sets a 170. Goes second quickest.
Wow.
For the 117.2. Meanwhile, ARL, who is not really doing much, don't think, nor is Martin. They're both not using ERS as Martin crosses the line to finish the session. And it is going to be Nick Jewston who takes pole position by nearly 4 tenths of a second.
Very impressive, and you called it as well with Jasper. If he can just rectify that issue he had, he could go even quicker, and boy did he go quicker into second place. It was a shame for Merckx because that 4 tenths he lost in the first sector he made right back up at the end, and he was only half a tenth off his time when he crossed the line, so that's a real shame it ended like that for him.
Absolutely. Would you like to take us through the grid order for the Australian Grand Prix?
So we've got Nick Houston in first with Jasper second, Merckx third, Speed Queen in P4, Ghost 5, MDJ in 6th, Luke Bailey in the Williams in 7th, Reshka 8th, Ricky Maru in 9th with Ryan in the Aston Martin 10th, ARL in the Ferrari 11th, Enes in the other Red Bull in 12th, SFR Martin in 13th, and an unfortunate Cameron down in 14th place at the back of the field.
Well, if he finishes in a good position, he's up for driver of the day, I think, Cameron.
Yeah,
but he's going to need a very good race. Welcome to everyone who has joined. I see Scotty, Sir Spud, Malc's in here. I'm sure there's others as well. Welcome to round 13 of the Invictus Racing League Tier 3 here at the Australian Grand Prix. We're just going to get ready for the main race. It looks like it's going to be a dry one, or at least for the next 5 minutes by the looks of things. And the mechanics posing in their T-shapes, standing to attention for I'm not really sure, just to pose for pictures for fans, I think, in the grandstand on the other side.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something. I've experienced Australia, and it looks sunny now, but within a blink of an eye, a storm cloud could come over, and suddenly you get the heaviest of downpours. So don't let this nice sunny weather fool you too much, because it could easily turn halfway through the race. Let's hope for our sake it does, because it'll make this a spicier race and interesting thing. But these guys, I'm sure, will be hoping for a dry race throughout. So what are you feeling then? Is Nick going to run away with, or is Jasper Merckx behind, or even Speed Queen put up a fight against Nick tonight?
It's hard to say, because Nick Jewston tends to have this strategy of burning ERS right at the start of the Grand Prix to get outside of the DRS for lap number 2, and then try and basically control the race thereafter. But we have seen it where by doing that he does leave himself a little vulnerable in the latter stages of each stint. So he may run away with this if there's incidents behind, but I think the way Australia is, it's very, very hard to, especially without a tyre advantage, it's very hard to pull away and gap people here because of the nature of the circuit. And obviously these cars are very much easier to follow in comparison to F1 2021 and those more top-heavy downforce cars.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And my only concern based on that is if he does use up a lot of his ERS early on, if there's a safety car and he's suddenly only got 20% ERS and the car behind him's got 70%, suddenly he could come under real pressure to hold on to that lead. So for his sake, let's hope that doesn't happen as we're counting down 15 seconds to the start of this race. I think it's going to be really exciting. This Australia normally gives you good racing, so fingers crossed we can talk you through an exciting evening here in IRL.
Yeah, I see Gam, which is Speed Queen's sister, in the chat cheering on for Speed Queen, as she does every week. But let's see how the start goes then here in Albert Park. First Grand Prix in 96. We're in 2023 on the F1 2022 game. We have 5 red lights and we are green for the Australian Grand Prix. The question is, who's going to get the best getaway? It looks like Nick Jewston is able to, as Merck's unfortunately lost connection already, but it is Nick Jewston who leads into turn 1. We've got someone wide, by looks of it, in turn 1. Looks like Ricky Maru's gone down. I think Luke Bailey was the one who ran wide. At the front, no change though. Speed Queen looking to fend off Ghost as we go into turn 3 for the first time, and MDJ looking to annoy the McLaren and the Alpine at this early stage. Into turn 5, we've got Luke Bailey out. That's at turn 3 on the entry to turn 4. Not quite sure what happened there. And we have a virtual safety car to start this race.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Luke Bailey. I did see him run wide. I don't know if he then just got a bit trigger happy later on. But I do want to point out that it was a solid start from Cameron, from the back already up to P10, taking advantage of some mishaps from the cars ahead. But you've got to take those advantages when you can. So Cameron already into P10. The car ahead of him is the Aston Martin of Ryan, so he'll be hoping to dispatch him as quick as possible. This is a perfect start for Cameron. I think if he can carry on the way he is, he could easily find himself fighting within that top 5 later on in the race.
Yeah, and looking at tyres, Nick Jewston, Jasper, Merckx is back in the session by the looks, which is good to see. MDJ, Cameron Searle, Martin ARL, all starting on the hard compound tyres. Speed Queen, Ghost, Reshka, Ryan and Ricky Maru starting on the mediums. So those are the guys on what we call the normal strategies. And Ennis has decided he's going to go and gamble a little bit by starting on the soft tyre, as I think we're not far from going back racing again from this virtual safety car.
Yeah, maybe he was gambling on an early safety car and hoping to get the jump on a few people on the soft tyre and then come in, put on a set of hard tyres for the remainder of the race. But that hasn't worked as yet as we've gone green again in this race.
There was about a whole lap worth of virtual safety car and Merckx having a few glitchy moments there, shall we say. Speed Queen trying to get up onto the back of Merckx. Obviously those medium runners are going to want to try and get ahead of these hard tyres as fast as they can to be able to gap them and use their potential. But Merckx really having a few interesting moments there as he's suddenly appeared behind Speed Queen after the turn 9-10 chicane. As Ennis down the inside of MDJ, a little bit of contact in turn 11, but the Red Bull just about gets it done. I'm not too sure MDJ is going to like that little bit of muscle move from Ennis there. But Ennis looking to make moves early on the soft compound.
Yeah, trying to take full advantage of the soft tyres. Nick sets the fastest lap. Speed Queen takes that quickly off him. Speed Queen with the fastest lap of the race so far, and suddenly Speed Queen is starting to form a bit of a queue behind her as Ricky Maroon now sets the fastest lap. DRS is now enabled. Speed Queen 1.4 seconds behind Jasper. Jasper managed to pull away from Speed Queen and hang on to the back of Nick, but Speed Queen's going to be under some pressure here with the likes of Merck, Ghost and Ennis, MDJ, Reshka. They're all behind him now.
Oh, MDJ's round. Turn 5, too much of the exit curb. Round goes the AlphaTauri down to 13th on the hard compound. And a bit of a shame for MDJ. He's got a lot of work ahead of him now. He was on the back of Ennis and Reshka there, looking to get some overtakes back done. But unfortunately, that's not happened. Luckily, no one's collected him. And we will get the first dose of DRS now through down to turn 11. Obviously, if you're wondering why no one had it down to turn 3, that's because the detection point was before the start finish line, and it was Ghost in the gravel at turn 11, so a mistake there. And I'm not quite sure what happened to Ghost. That is unusual to see a mistake out of him.
Yeah, I didn't see what happened either. I was looking at his teammate Rescue, who was under a lot of pressure, and then suddenly flicked over to Ghost, and he's going very slowly through the gravel. So, yeah, a rare mistake from Ghost. He'll be disappointed with that because he had a good start to the race, and that's dropped him down to P9. He needs to recover now and try and get back through this pack. But that does promote Cameron into P8. Rescue's team, and Ghost's teammate, now into P6.
Yeah, Speed Queen up to third. Well, is in third now. Trying to chase down Jasper as ARL and Martin looking to have a little bit of a squabble for 11th place. The Ferrari just overtaking the Mercedes there with the help of DRS. So ARL looking to try and move up at the moment. Remember, ARL technically 10th at the moment because Ryan is ahead of him. And Ryan, speaking of Ryan, he goes down the inside of Reshka on the flat left-hander before the turn 9-10 chicane, and Ennis and Merck are now side by side. Merck allowing Ennis through. They are teammates, so good team play there. Ennis obviously on the faster tyre currently.
Oh, and they're side by side, Reshka and Ryan. Bang wheels as well. Reshka trying to get that position back off Ryan, but Ryan hanging on. Nice battling here. It's a four-way battle. Ghost, I think, has just run into the back of... He's been towed. Ricky Maru hit the rear of Ghost, I believe, and turned it. But I think Ghost, just before that, tapped the back of Cameron as well. They were very close.
Everyone concertinaed up into the penultimate corner. Obviously, I think Ghost trying to take a little bit of avoiding action, and Ricky Maru just didn't get on the brakes early enough there as Reshka once again looking down the inside of Ryan. Should get this move done through turn 3. Ryan trying to hang around the outside, but thinks better of it as we head through 4. But yeah, I think Ricky Maru wasn't quite expecting everyone to be so slow through the penultimate corner, and unfortunately he's made contact with Ghost. And not ideal from the McLarens. But Reshka still ahead of Cameron Searle, but is Nick Jewston, that's the big problem, because he's leading the race.
Yeah, 1.7 seconds. He's probably done what you said. And Ryan, he's given a real good battle here to Reshka, looking like he fits in here in the Tier 1 category, Tier 2 driver. Getting a real good battle to that McLaren. He's got Cameron behind him, and he's not buckled to Cameron's pressure. Ryan looking forward, trying to move around the outside. That is brave if he can pull that off. But Reshka trying his hardest to hold him off there. This is going to be some move if Ryan can pull this off. But no, I think Reshka just hangs on, and Cameron trying to be sneaky. But here comes Ryan. He's still not giving up, and eventually has to concede the position, and Reshka can breathe a huge sigh of relief, and Cameron was trying one. Well, this is a great battle between them three.
Yeah, Ryan fighting Reshka at the moment. Cameron Searle maybe just looking for a bit of an opening here. Oh, Reshka has a big switch through turn 1-2, and that's 2 positions. 3 positions will be lost for the McLaren. Just possibly a little bit too much curb as Cameron Searle goes down the inside of Ryan. That's for 6th place, and the AlphaTauri man currently up 8 places from 14th. But that all stemmed from Reshka having a bit of a twitch through turn 1, and I do suspect a little bit too much curb, just causing the rear end to try and break away.
Yeah, it looked like it, didn't it? But the problem Cameron had is because he was stuck in that battle for so long. Look at the gap to Merck ahead now. 5.7 seconds he's got to try and get back on to the Red Bull head. But he's not going to be thinking about that too much later, because Ryan is still keeping Cameron very honest here. And just briefly before then, I have to point out, Jasper picked up a 3-second time penalty. Our second place man, 2.1 seconds behind Nick, has now got a 3-second time penalty to add on to his time.
Yeah, not ideal. Very easy to do around Australia, but definitely not ideal at this stage of the race, very early. But yeah, Ryan still keeping Cameron honest, as you say. And the biggest problem for Cameron here is that Merck's kind of getting pulled along and towed by Ennis, because Ennis on the faster tyres at the moment, they are going to start to wear out those soft tyres. But he's giving Merck DRS, and he is allowing that gap to change. And Ennis, I think, a little bit of team, once again, a bit more team play from the Red Bulls, and is now deciding that the tyres are gone on those softs, and he needed to release Merck back in front of him.
Yeah, it was definitely team play. He stuck to one side, and Merckx was down in the inside of Ennis. Comfortable overtake. That was nice team play from the Red Bull guys. So Merck now been looking to motor on and try and catch up with Speed Queen ahead, just 2.3 seconds. So Ennis, I imagine maybe a lap or two, and he'll probably have to come into the pits because I'm sure those soft tires will be crying soon because Cameron is eating into that already. 4.5 seconds out. It was 5.4 the previous lap. So yeah, I think Ennis's tyres are about to give up.
Yeah, not surprising. It's a bit of a gamble taking the soft tyres, but obviously sometimes it can work out. Ghost is on the back of Martin. We'll have a look at that because that's the closest gap we've got at the moment at 0.4 of a second into the final couple of corners. The McLaren looking to have a recovery drive here after being tagged round at turn number 13. He'll have DRS down towards turn 1. Now, it's advantageous if you can make the move into turn 1, as Ghost is doing now, because you also get DRS for the second straight down to turn 3, and you can extend that gap and try to escape as Ghost is now doing.
I think Merckx is trying his hardest to push forward, but also drag his teammate along with him. It's just crept over a second now, but it was just under a second for a large part of this lap and the previous lap. So Ennis was getting a bit of DRS to help pull him along, but he's just fallen outside of that DRS time now. So Ennis, I wouldn't be surprised, starts to fall back into Cameron Searle's clutches. But Ryan and Ricky Maru and Reshka, they're all pretty much hanging on to the back of Cameron here, so they'll be looking to take advantage. Merckx had a problem.
I don't know what's happened to Merck. What's he done there? It looks like there's debris as well. It's his teammate's debris. So I think Merck has spun in turn 11 and been collected by Ennis.
Oh.
Carnage for the Red Bulls, and absolutely Merckx. I think he's lost connection again. I do wonder if that's playing a bit of a factor into Merckx. Speed Queen's had an issue. Speed Queen has had an issue into turn 1, and she's now lost position. She's down to 6th place.
Wow. It's all kicking off all of a sudden, and I don't know what on earth happened to the Red Bulls. They were doing so well together. We were bigging them up, saying how well they were working together. Ryan now picks a 3-second time, and now Speed Queen's had an issue. So that has now promoted Cameron Searle up to the podium places. 3rd place, 9 seconds behind Jasper.
Yeah, we didn't quite see that one coming. It's a bit of a shame for Speed Queen. She was running well, but this is almost like the race of that no one wants to finish 3rd in at the moment. Because that was effectively 3rd, 4th and 5th places, all having issues within the space of one sector, really. As Cameron in 3rd place, and Jasper does have a 3-second time penalty, so that 8.99 second gap's more like 6 seconds.
Yeah, Cameron will be aiming to get within that time of Jasper and then try and secure that 2nd place. Ghost, meanwhile, has just overtaken the Ghost car of Merckx. Speed Queen is into the pits. I thought she had another moment there, but she's into the pits. What tyre is she putting on? She's bolted on a set of hard tyres. So Speed Queen, hard tyres. She's probably not enjoying those mediums after the slight issue she had. I'll drop her to the back of... No, it'll be 12th place as Ennis just comes around the final corner now.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame for Ryan as well. He's picked up a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and I can only assume it's because him and Ricky Maru were maybe battling when Speed Queen went off or had her incidents, and maybe the game classified that Ryan overtook under yellows. But the biggest problem for Ryan is that because he's still yet to pit, that will be served in the pits and will not be retracted at the end. That 5 seconds will stick.
Apart from that, I think Ryan's been very impressive this evening. He's battled with some of the regulars here in Tier 1, and he's looked like he can battle hard as well as Apologies. I thought there was an actual overtake happening there, but it's just Merck's ghost car getting overtaken. Meanwhile, just ahead of them, there's a nice little battle between Martin and MDJ for 9th and 10th place, just 0.4 of a second separating the Mercedes and the Alpha Tauri driver.
Yeah, MDJ, another driver looking for a recovery drive here after his spin at turn 5 earlier in this race, as they head down towards the first corner. And you feel MDJ just setting this up for a move with DRS down towards turn 3. He opens up the wing to the inside, and a pretty standard move into turn 3. I think Martin isn't really necessarily... He's going to fight for position, but I think if it's a pretty much done deal and they're down the side of him, I don't think he's going to fight too much to make sure he doesn't interfere with the regular Drivers' Championship, because obviously there is still a Tier 1 Championship to be settled, and even if it's not at the top, people still want the best result they can, even if it's on the mid-pack.
Yeah, definitely. You would hate to cause an accident of some sort, wouldn't you, involving somebody battling for a title. You'd feel pretty guilty about that. Meanwhile, Ricky Maru is not able to get past Ryan for 4th place, trying his hardest, 0.5 of a second behind, but Ryan, even though Ricky Maru will have DRS in, Ryan's managing to keep the Haas car behind him in 5th place. And Ryan, again, having a solid race, but Ghost is slowly starting to come back into this top 5 battle, because he's got it down to 1.3 seconds to ARL in 7th place. So Ghost on a bit of a recovery.
Yeah, and you get the sense that if he passes ARL, Reshka's not really going to fight him. The McLaren teammates normally very good at working together and knowing when each other's quicker at the stage of the race. It's just a question of how much does Ricky Maru battle with Ryan now, and if that would allow Ghost through. We got a yellow flag. Oh dear. It's turn 4. Luckily, it looks like he's got away with no damage.
Yeah, I think it was just a simple spin. The car was facing the wrong way, spun the car back round, and off he goes again. It's a real shame, because that's now dropped him down to P11, and I believe Merck is back.
Oh, Ricky Maru's gone round. Ricky Maru very wide out of the 9-10 chicane, and round goes the Haas. 3 positions for Rashka ARL Ghost. Will Martin also claim a place? I think Ricky Maru is just about going to get going again before that happens. But that's unfortunate for Ricky Maru there. He was running quite nicely behind Ryan, but gives Reshka a top 5 placing for now, and Ghost within a second of ARL.
That's really a shame for Ricky Maru. As you say, he was having a good battle with Ryan, but it's easily done there. You can easily run wide and get too much on the curbs, and suddenly the car's facing the wrong way, or even worse, into the wall. So it's good to see that he didn't DNF, and he can carry on now, still in the top 10, so he can still fight for some points later on.
Yeah, absolutely. As we lap 13, so we're gradually nearing halfway. Ricky Maru has spun it again, this time at turn 3. It looks like he's going to wait for drivers to come around, because those tyres are going to be red hot. And very easy to spin on red hot tyres. Meanwhile, ARL very close to the back of Reshka. You sense maybe a move. He's looking to the inside of 9-10. That is a lovely move from the Ferrari. And Reshka kind of... Oh, Reshka, that was a big cut from Reshka. And he gets his 3rd warning for good measure for 3 seconds. Unfortunately, no getting away with that one. As Nick Jewson says, a 1:21.220, which is quicker than the fastest lap from last season, which is a 1:21.545 set by Stefan Ranz in the Haas.
Reshka is pitted, so he's had enough of those medium tyres, and I'm wondering now if the hard tyres are starting to really look the better tyre. Those medium tyres, 14 lap old Ghost now inherits 5th place, and he'll be hoping to challenge ARL, but I'd imagine in way ARL managed to breeze past Reshka, those hard tyres are looking quite favourable at this moment.
Yeah, this is that sort of transition period now between the hards and the mediums. Obviously, we've only had a 1 lap of virtual safety car so far, so no real help for the drivers, not really. They've been able to extend their stints by one lap, but that's about it. So no real tyre saving going on so far. And Ghost, under half a second behind the Ferrari of ARL. This is 4th position, both Tier 1. And Ghost looking to get back into the top 4 here.
So Ryan, by the way, is pitted, and if you remember, he said he had that 5-second penalty to serve in the pit lane. That's unfortunately dropped him behind Ennis and Reshka now on track. So Reshka now on track ahead of Ryan, which is a real shame for Ryan because he's been driving so well. So that has dropped him after the pits down to P12, second to last, just ahead of Ricky Maru.
And Ghost in the pits, the last of the medium runners to come into the pits. It's a set of hard tyres. And the question is, where's his teammate? Just coming around the final couple of corners. Have McLaren managed to make an overcut work here for Ghost? It looks like they have. So Ghost now out of the pits in front of Reshka. That is great stuff from the McLaren team to make sure Reshka, Ghost and Reshka is a lovely swap in the pits. Now Reshka probably won't attack Ghost because Ghost on cold tyres. We know the difference between cold and warm tyres, but Reshka won't fight Ghost. He'll let him get the tyres up to temperature and become a bit of a bodyguard for his teammate here.
Yeah, you'd imagine Reshka will do exactly that. Ryan has got onto the back of Ennis now. Ennis is not really stuck with Reshka, 2.1 seconds, so Ryan's going to have to get a move on if he wants to get past that Red Bull ahead, if he wants to gain some positions he's lost through that penalty. Is he going to have a go similar to what ARL tried earlier? No, the Red Bull making that car as wide as possible. Can Ryan now get him with the DRS for 11th place? DRS now wide open. Where's he going to send it? Is it outside, inside? Outside. Oh, that was a bit naughty from Ennis, I have to say. The late move under braking there, and Ennis holds on to 11th place, but I think that was a bit naughty from the Red Bull driver.
Yeah, he made his defensive move to the inside and then reacted to Ryan looking to go to the outside, so Ryan is not going to be very happy with that one. He could have allowed Ryan to just go on the outside and defend the position and take the line, but Ryan does get this move almost done into turn 1. Can't quite get it sorted though. See that tighter line allows Ennis to keep the momentum. DRS back open for the Aston Martin down towards turn 3, and he can't get the move done. And you get the sense that Ryan needs to make sure he doesn't let the red mist descend, because he's not going to be very happy, but he needs to stay calm in that car and take the next opportunity he gets.
Yeah, you can either lose your head, can't you, in this situation when there's a car clearly slower than you, doing whatever they can to keep you behind. You need to just try and remain calm. Can he do anything about it? This run, he's used pretty much all of his ERS, so he's pushing hard here, but these guys are losing. I thought Ryan was going to run into back of that Red Bull there. It was pretty close, but I think that's almost instant cost him an opportunity to attack down into that corner as well. So Ryan's staying frustrated. We've got pit lane is busy. Cameron and ARL into the pits for mediums.
Yeah, and they're going to come out ahead of Speed Queen, who is the first one other than Cameron. Well, I say that ARL has dropped behind Speed Queen. He's actually now down into 10th place behind Reshka. But he is on the medium compound of tyre. So Cameron Searle is net 3rd at the moment. Speed Queen net 4th. Ghost net 5th as we look currently. The question is, how long does Nick and Jasper stay out? Because obviously with Cameron Searle now looking for an undercut, you feel Jasper especially may want to try and cover this and to not lose too much time. I think Nick's so far up the road, I mean, it's technically 6.5 up the road now, is Nick Houston.
Yeah, yes he is. As Jasper into the pits, so Nick's carrying on for another lap. Jasper into the pits, and I wonder if the undercut from Cameron will gain him any time on Jasper, because it never really went down after we pointed out. It stayed at around 8.8 seconds. So be interesting what the gap is between Jasper and Cameron. Merck is carrying on 16 lap, 17 lap hard tyres as Jasper picks up another penalty. That's 6 seconds, so that could cost him second place.
It could do, and he has come out ahead of Merckx and Cameron. If my calculations serve me right, he's about 8 seconds ahead of Cameron at this point. So he's got 2 seconds to play with, has Jasper. And both of them on medium tyres, so level playing field in that respect. Nick Jewston still leads the way, though, in the Alfa Romeo. Speed Queen on the back of MDJ. MDJ yet to pit, though, but this is going to cost Speed Queen a bit of time to Ghost behind.
It is, yeah. Speed Queen in a net P5 after her troubles, I should say, earlier on in the race, but she needs to get past MDJ quickly as our race leader pits. Nick Houston into the pits for his set of medium tyres. But yeah, Ghost, if we want to take full advantage of this, seeing Speed Queen being held up behind that Alpha Tauri. Speed Queen now, is she going to be able to get the move done, gaining on MDJ ahead, but not close enough to get the move done? So Speed Queen remains frustrated in P7.
Yeah, all penalties you see on your screen, that is for Martin, MDJ, Ghost, Reshka, Ennis and Ricky Maru all have 3 seconds. Jasper is 6 as Cameron Searle sets a 1:20.6 to be the fastest man on track. And that fight for that fastest lap point could be quite interesting, because we know Cameron and Nick Jewston do tend to swap fastest lap times when they're both on the pace.
So Jasper has got it within 2 seconds of Nick. Nick only just coming back out, so he'll be getting his tyres up to temperature. So can Jasper try and take some advantage and try and gain on Nick? But it's looking, we've got a yellow flag, and it's Ricky Maru again.
Yeah, he's having a tough old time out there, is Ricky Maru in the Haas. He's got going again, so just a brief, as the Americans would say, local yellow. Speed Queen, though, still behind MDJ, still has the McLaren behind her. And ARL is looking to make a move on Reshka round the outside of 910. Can't quite do it on this occasion, and it's probably going to cost him the chance into turn 11 as he gets a poor exit from turn 10. I always feel if you're gonna try a move, if you can already tell it's not quite going to work, you're a bit too far. As he almost goes into the back of Reshka, good avoidance. And here comes Ennis and Ryan behind, but just a tad late on the brakes there for the Ferrari.
Oh, yeah, wasn't it just? I thought there was going to be a nasty accident there. Well recovered as MDJ pits, and that releases Speed Queen and Ghost. Speed Queen now making a move on Martin. She's not messing about with this driver. She's ahead of Martin, that Mercedes driver. Martin's going to try and potentially come back at her, but I can't imagine Martin's going to go for it. As here comes Ghost down the inside of Martin, and Ghost takes the position as well. So that is crucial, I think, for Ghost. If he wants to challenge Speed Queen later, Ghost had to get past that Mercedes as quick as possible, and he did.
I think Martin doing a very sensible thing, though. He's on 19 lap old hard tyres, still has to pit. No point fighting these drivers. I think he kind of just decides to make it a little bit easy for them, just for the sake of his own race. Because if you're not fighting them, there's no point losing time to them, trying to fight them. But Ghost is still in DRS range, and this time Speed Queen will not have any DRS. The nice thing for Speed Queen, she isn't out of ERS yet, which is slightly unusual for her. Usually she's normally out of ERS by now. Nick Jewston sets a 19.5 to be the quickest man on track. But yeah, Speed Queen just seemingly a slightly better ERS management in this race.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Ghost, if he stays where he is, with that time penalty over his head, it's not really going to make any difference. He needs to get past Speed Queen as quick as possible and then build the gap. But right now, Speed Queen doing what she does best, as Martin pits, doing what she does best and making life difficult for drivers around her. She's great at attacking, she's great at defending, and right now she's frustrating the life out of Ghost, because Ghost seemingly cannot get past that Alpine at the moment.
No, seemingly biding his time. The nice thing, though, for Ghost here is that he's 3.1 ahead of Reshka, who's got a penalty anyway. So he's about 4 seconds ahead of ARL. So currently, that penalty won't affect his position right now. So I do wonder if, to some degree, while Speed Queen does have some good pace at this stage, whether he's just kind of using her to tow along, nick a bit of DRS, save some ERS. As I say that, he looks to the outside, up towards 9. And once again, the outside line does not work, but this time Speed Queen out of ERS. Here comes Ghost, DRS open, ERS I suspect on, looking to the outside of turn 11. Round the outside, don't see many moves like that round the outside, but he gets it completed. And Ghost up into the top 5. And once he gets past Merck, who's now in the pits, it'll be P4 for the McLaren prior to penalties.
Yeah, this has been a good recovery, I think, from Ghost. He had a little issue of his own, and then he got spun round. He's recovered well here, but I think Merck's going to be one to keep an eye on. I'm sure it'll be going for fastest lap on those soft tyres, but Merck, where's he going to go? Oh, has Ghost got another penalty? Oh.
A second set of 3 seconds, and for Ghost, 6 seconds of time. This is very unusual from the McLaren driver. He doesn't normally pick up penalties like this, but obviously this is the pressure you get in Tier 1. You know, you make one mistake, you fall to the back of the field, and they're pushing so hard to the limit that picking up penalties is inevitable at some point during the season. So Ghost has a lot of work to do now to try and get himself six seconds of gap to someone to still get some good points out of this race.
Yeah, and Speed Queen and Ghost within the next few corners are going to have somebody else to think about, because Merck is on the charge on those soft tyres. He can see the 2 cars ahead of him. I can imagine on those soft tyres he should make easy work of the hard running tyres ahead of him. So this could be an easy battle for Merck on the soft tyres, but I'm sure these two won't make it easy for him.
No, they're not going to make it easy. This is for positions. They have every right to defend it. Although you just look at the grip difference between Merck's and Speed Queen. Remember, Speed Queen's tyres are 12 laps old. She was one of the first medium runners to pit. Merck thinking better of it through turn 1, practically pushing Speed Queen through 2. And I think this time this could be moved done down to turn 3. He should be able to be late on the brakes, have the grip, and 5th place is the Red Bulls. I think we're going to see a bit of Antonio Felix da Costa, I believe it was, back in F3 when he was bump drafting down Monza. We were about to see that from Merck, I think.
Another person, I think, who's recovered well tonight, Merck. He's had connection issues. He's tangled with his teammates, and to be battling now in the top 5 is a good recovery from the Red Bull driver. So I can imagine he'd be frustrated that he should be battling for the podium, but to have the issues he has and fighting where he is, I think is probably a decent evening. Ghost is the next target for him, and I don't think Ghost is going to have much in a way of keeping that Red Bull behind the way he's just dispatched Speed Queen.
Meanwhile, we're seeing moves behind. ARL getting past Reshka on the inside of turn 9, or way before it actually. And Ryan did try a move on Ennis into 11, but it didn't quite pay off. So obviously Ennis, 14 lap old tyres. Merck has got past Ghost with DRS. And you kind of feel that if Ghost can just stick with Merck's until the next DRS zone, I think it's going to be difficult. But he might be able to use Merck's just for a DRS zone or 2 to be able to maybe just try and build that gap. But I think the traction of Merck is going to be far superior. That he's going to be outside 1 second very quickly.
Yeah, it already is. Look, Merck is on a flyer, but what can Merck do now? I think it's too late to catch Cameron. Is it 15 seconds ahead? But he's just going to have to push, isn't he? And just hope maybe Cameron makes a mistake, because Cameron in 3rd place right now. He's 8.9 seconds behind Jasper, 15 seconds ahead of Merck. Ricky Maru picks up a time penalty. So Cameron in a bit of a race of his own right now.
Yes, Ennis all over the back of Reshka. Through 9 and 10. DRS open for both Reshka and Ennis. But Ennis still managing to get to the inside. Down towards turn 11. Very close, almost wheel banging. But it is Reshka who keeps the momentum around on the outside. And Ryan is brought back into play behind. And remember, Ennis and Ryan have not necessarily history, but They have had a small incident when Ennis was defending from the Aston Martin. Ryan's looking, pulls out to go alongside. He's tried this one before. This time he's fully alongside and in front going into turn one. It's his corner, and he keeps the corner for himself. 9th place for the Aston Martin. Though he runs a little bit wide. Here comes Ennis right back at him, though. Ennis almost decided to throw down the inside. Didn't quite work, but Ryan a little bit slow. Contact.
Oh!
Ryan into the wall. No front wing, and you feel Ennis there just understeered into him, and that was definitely avoidable.
Ryan will be having nightmares about Ennis tonight because he's been frustrated numerous times and ended up being put in the wall. I feel for Ryan because he's had a decent night, and unfortunately it's just all unravelled very quickly. He's going to have to pit for a brand new front wing, and that'll pretty much put him towards the back of the field, if not last, behind Ricky Murray. That's a real shame for Ryan. Ennis in 9th place now. Has lost time to Reschke ahead, 1.8 seconds behind now because of that incident.
Yeah, but back to near the front, and look what Ghost has been able to do here. He's been able to get that gap back down to under a second. He's got DRS, and he's starting to gap Speed Queen.
Interesting.
So the question is, I think he might not get 6 seconds on Speed Queen, but it's about 5 seconds to ARL. It's about 4 seconds, nearly 5 to ARL. So I think there's a chance here that if Ghost can keep this up, he's got a chance of keeping at least 6th place here by trying to gap ARL.
That is really interesting. I fully expected Merc to just go off into the distance, but Ghost showing real quality and pace on those 11 lap old hard tyres compared to the 4 lap old soft tyres of Merc. Yeah, Ryan does eventually pit for soft tyres in a brand new front wing. So yeah, Merc doing Ghost a massive favour, keeping him within DRS, and Ghost will not be wanting to try and overtake here. He just wants to stay behind as Martin picks up 3 seconds. And yeah, Ghost, what is it? Look at it now. It's 3.4 seconds to Speed Queen with ARL under a second to Speed Queen now. So this could also play in the favour of Ghost. If those two start squabbling for position and battling on track, they could lose even more time and could really help Ghost out.
Yeah, and Speed Queen won't want to give it up to ARL because ARL doesn't have a penalty. This is genuinely a fight for position. So she won't want to give it up. And yeah, I think you're absolutely right. 4.4 the gap to ARL for Ghost. And this has kind of become a bit of almost like a weird battle in this race, isn't it? It's a battle against time almost for Ghost. And what happens with other people. We've got a yellow flag. It is Ennis. He is out of this race. Turn 2. Let's have a look, see what he's done. He's in the outside wall, just probably got a bit twitchy over the curbs or on the outside curb, and the wall was his destination, unfortunately. But back to the main battle here. Ghost just 4/10 behind Merc. Are those softs starting to lose their edge here? Because Ghost is not only hanging with Merc, but he's now starting to reel him back in.
Yeah, well, if you remember, earlier on, Ennis at the beginning of the race, he got to about lap 6, and those tyres were pretty much shot, and Merc's on 5 laps of those softs now. So as you say, it looks like maybe those soft tyres are starting to fall away, and Ghost might have to overtake Merc here to build that gap to Speed Queen. But look at the gap now, 4.4 seconds to Speed Queen. ARL half a second behind Speed Queen now, so it's a real battle on here for P6.
Yeah, absolutely. 4.6 the gap between Ghost and Speed Queen. 1.4 required to get and keep the top 5 place. I mean, the top 3 are just in a little bit of their own race here. Jasper 2.4 behind Nick Houston. Cameron 9.7 behind Jasper. He's about 3.7 away from taking advantage of that 6-second penalty. But ARL all over the back of Speed Queen as we watch it. And that gap now 5 seconds to Speed Queen, all bar the shouting. There it is. And Ghost doing a fantastic job at the moment trying to extend that gap.
It's exactly what he needed, and Ghost, as Ryan sets the fastest lap with a 1:18.9, takes that away from Nick Houston. So Nick won't be getting as Cameron's
Oh
had
no.
connection issues. Not on the
Not
last lap,
again. Oh
surely.
no, and the AI's pitted him.
Oh man.
What is the AI doing? That's unbelievable for Cameron. I can't believe the AI on the penultimate lap would pit the car for soft tyres. That's just plain ridiculous. But unfortunately, we can't really dilly-dally too much on that because we have this battle between Speed Queen ARL. It's kind of opened a little bit, but ARL still within DRS range, and Speed Queen it's quite actually hard. I'm going to have to change the gap so we can keep an eye on the gap to Ghost here. That gap now just under 6 seconds, if I'm not mistaken there, Sab.
Yeah, it is. And what that has done, unfortunately for Cameron, but advantage for Merckx, is that's put Merckx into a podium place. So Merckx, after all his troubles and issues tonight, is on his way on the final lap to get in a podium place as Nick Houston comes around the final corner now, and it's been a comfortable race. We've not seen much of him, but Nick Houston wins the Australian Grand Prix. Jasper following him home in second place. Lovely drive from Jasper despite those penalties, but we've got a long way back to Merckx and Ghost and Cameron and Speed Queen, so can Merckx bring it home? A few corners left. As Cameron's rejoined, but too late now, unfortunately.
If he gets back in the car, though, he'll take points and he'll get ahead of Ghost. So Ghost looking at 5th place at the moment, but Merckx round the final corner, up to the line. He'll take 3rd place. Ghost 4th, but that's going to become 5th. As Cameron, I'm not quite sure if he crossed the line in the car or not, but Speed Queen will stay in 6th place. ARL will stay 7th. Reshka 8th. The question is, has he got, I think everyone else behind's got 3 seconds only. MDJ will cross in 9th with Martin 10th. Ryan, who's had a very much unlucky scenario here. Obviously, that fastest lap won't actually count for him. We'll have to see which Tier 2 driver has the fastest lap. Not Tier 2, Tier 1 driver, sorry, will have the fastest lap. But he's going to cross the line for 11th. He was having such a good race. He showed good pace. And I think Ricky Maru spun it on the last lap, coming out the penultimate corner. That's, three's a charm out of the last corner. No, not quite for Ricky Maru. he'll cross the line for 12th, and essentially, I think 10th, because Martin and Ryan will not count in points side of things, as far as I'm aware. Cameron Searle takes driver of the day. I'm not surprised at that one. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. And actually saying no safety car, just a virtual one for one lap at the start as Nick Houston comes to collect his trophy.
Yeah, really surprising. You usually see at least one safety car around here, but these guys drove really well. One VSC is all we got. Drove really well, gave us some great battles, and huge congratulations to Nick, Jasper, and Merckx, who will not believe he's took a 3rd place tonight, but he's got that 3rd place. And Cameron, really, that's desperately unlucky. He drove really well all race, got himself solid in 3rd, and more connection issues. So, shall I go through the final results? We've got Nick in 1st place, excellent win for Nick, with Jasper 2nd, Merck 3rd, Cameron an unlucky, but he'll be pleased to finish as high as he has after qualifying issues in 4th. Ghost 5th, a good recovery despite having those 6 seconds worth of penalties. Speed Queen 6th, ARL 7th, Reshka 8th, MDJ 9th, Martin 10th, Ryan, an unlucky Ryan in 11th, Ricky Maru 12th, and Ennis 13th with Luke Bailey, DNF in 14th place. That was a really entertaining race, really enjoyable race, some great battles throughout. Huge congratulations to the top 3, and some just desperately unlucky people as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got to feel sorry for Cameron Searle. That was a podium in the bag, really, for him. I genuinely can't believe the game pitted him on lap 28. That was slightly ridiculous, but I think we do have Nick Houston in the pits. I'm just going to ask if Merckx and Jasper can give us a small write-up for us to read in a minute. but we will speak with Nick Jewston. So, Nick, congratulations. Another victory to your tally. I'm just going to quickly work this out because I think that will be your 5th of this season. And a nice return to the top step of the podium after finishing 2nd for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that was a very good race. The car felt great. I was able to pull that 1 second gap in the beginning and just avoid Jasper being in my DRS. So I was able to pull away, just manage the gap, wait for him to pit, and then pit myself. Tried to get the fastest lap, but someone in the back of the grid got it, I think. So no, it's a very good race. So I think the championship is coming a lot closer now. Just gotta keep getting in those points, and then I think it will.
Yeah, so I mean, it's quite. I mean, we didn't really see much of you on the stream because you kind of wandered away with it and controlled the race. But as you say, that result is definitely handy for you in the championship. And I haven't quite worked out the points difference yet, but there's probably a potential for winning this championship at Brazil with a round to spare. I mean, is that something you're going to be looking to do, or is it just going to be business as usual? Just make sure you score the points, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, of course you would want to win it as early as you can. So I will try to get the most amount of points. But if that doesn't happen in Brazil, then it's all good as well. So I will just do my best.
Absolutely. And just speaking about Brazil, how is that as a circuit for yourself? Is that a confident one, or what's your thoughts on Brazil for next week?
Yeah, I really like Brazil. I don't really like Portimao, so I actually hope I can just finish it off in Brazil. That has been one of my at least favorite tracks to drive. It's just a lot of fun. But we'll see if it's also if I'm also that good on that track compared to the rest of the grid, because I thought last week I had the same amount of pace as today, but the gap was a lot bigger. So I don't really know how big the gap is coming into every race weekend. Also in the Netherlands, I felt really comfortable, but then as well, Cameron was really fast. So it's always just a waiting game to see how fast the others are. But today the gap was a little bit bigger, which made the race a bit more comfortable.
Absolutely. Yes, Sab, any questions for Nick?
I was just going to ask basically, you had it, what from my point of view looked like a comfortable evening. When you're in the lead like you have been the entire race, is it easy to just drive to the checkered flag, or have you got to always keep that concentration high because anything could happen at any point?
Yeah, you got to keep the concentration in, of course, especially on a street circuit like this. A lot of fast corners in which you can just spin out very easily. But I was also, not fully pushing. I was just managing the gap, making sure it was around 4 seconds. And I was also sometimes watching where other people on the track are, where like Cameron and Go. So it wasn't like cruising, but I also wasn't really pushing like hell.
Yeah, interesting. Well, congratulations anyway. Unfortunately, we didn't see much of you on the stream. A mega lap, by the way, in qualifying. That was absolutely superb. So, a great night for yourself. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That was actually, I think that was my personal best. So in the last lap, I just gave it everything in order to improve. But then on like corner number 3, I already spun. So that was a very good lap. I was very happy with that.
So, congratulations, Nick. Obviously inching closer to the title for Tier 1 this season. Obviously, next race, Sab, at Brazil. And it's an interesting circuit. Brazil has got pretty much every sort of feature of a racetrack. It's got fast corners, slow corners. It's quite tight and narrow, so you've got to be wise with your overtaking, and normally produces some very good racing.
It really does. It's one of my favourite race circuits, not only racing on the game, but in real life. I do miss it being the final race of the season in real life. We used to get some cracking races in F1, final race of the season in Brazil, but we're going there next week. I'm sure IRL will be giving us plenty of great racing again. Who knows, we might even get some weather. Brazil does give you some weather. And there's usually plenty of good overtake as well. So it's going to be really exciting and looking forward to seeing what these guys can do next week.
Absolutely. I will quickly read out what Jasper's put because he has given us a small summary. He stated that considering his first lap in qualifying was also his first lap on the game since Monza last week, He was surprised to be P2 and that close to pole. He expected the race pace to be much worse, but surprisingly he could stay close to Nick and drop Cameron without having to push too much. All very surprised with his overall pace. And also another news, Ghost apparently had no sound for the entire race, so I think that's quite an achievement from him to drive with no sound. That's very impressive.
That really is. There's nothing worse trying to play this game with no sound.
But that's all the time we have for Tier 1 this week from Australia. Obviously, if you have enjoyed the stream, make sure you like it and subscribe to the Invictus Racing League channel. Make sure you have your notifications on so that you get notified of when the live racing is happening. Because tomorrow we finish off the week at Australia with the Realistic Performance League, brought to you by Tim and Malc. So Malc being in the comments there tonight, which is good to see you, Malc. I'm sure everyone's going to enjoy the commentary tomorrow from you and Tim. And then obviously everything's back at Brazil for next week. Tier 3 with Joe and Ewan. Tier 2 with myself and Bruce. And Tier 1 we'll have Webbo. I think Webbo's back for next week at Brazil, partnering myself. But tonight, Sab, thank you for coming into the comms box. It's been a pleasure as always.
Always welcome. I'm always happy to be here. If I don't get to come on again, it's been a pleasure, and I'll look forward to seeing what these guys do and seeing if Nick can take that championship next week.
Absolutely, and from myself and everyone here, thank you for watching the Invictus Racing League Tier 1 in partnership with gridfinder.com. We hope to see you next week for more Tier 1 action, but until then, have a good week.